Four games in the association today. Three of them were double-digit games, and we'll start out with the Celtics blowout 122 to 102 win over the Washington Wizards. Actually started this game off pretty strong. They went on a 15-2 run at one point in the first quarter. They were up by 8 at one point in that first frame, but the Celtics ended that first quarter off well. They took a 1-point lead heading into the second. These teams go back and forth for a good 6-7 minutes to start the second quarter. Boston went on a run. Washington countered with a run of their own. And then the Celtics ended the first half off really strong to take a double-digit lead into the half. Third quarter, this game blew wide open. The Celtics caught fire early. They were playing great defense. It was by far their best quarter of the night in my eyes. They went up by as much as 30 at one point. They brought their bench in with about 8 minutes to play, and it was garbage time really early, and garbage time lived up to its name. It was some ugly basketball at points, but Boston takes this one handily. Once again in full effect for Boston. They took half of their 90 shots from long distance. They go 25 of 45 from 2, and they go 17 of 45 from 3. Our duo led the charge again for the Celtics tonight, and Jason Tatum, another strong night, 25, 11, and 6, shot just under 50%. He was Boston's best player for the majority of the game, didn't even need to play in the fourth quarter. Jaylen Brown, 27, 8, 3. He had 4 steals as well. He shot 50%. He did, though, have 10 of his points in the fourth quarter when it was garbage time, but he still overall had a solid game. Jumped out to a quick start. He had 10 of his 19 points in the first quarter. He finished with 19, 4, and 4. Shot above 50% from the field. Richard had a strong night. He made 5 of his 10 threes. He finished with 15 points. And Neemias Queta came off the bench, provided some really strong minutes, gave 12 points, 7 rebounds, was efficient. He was hustling, playing strong defense. He had a really solid night. Horford did both have quiet nights on the offensive side of the ball, but after their kind of rocky start on the defensive end, the Celtics defense really picked up about midway through the second quarter. Throughout the rest of the game, their defense was fantastic the final 30 minutes of the game. Garbage time rookie Baylor Shireman was able to get the first bucket of his career, so congratulations to him. 6 of their 7 3-pointers came specifically from Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole actually had a solid night, started off really well as well. He caught fire in that first quarter, had 17 in the first frame on 6 of 8 shooting at 5 of 7 from 3, finishes with 26 points, 4 assists, goes above 50% from the field, and 6 of 11 from 3. How about the rest of the Wizards in total going 1 of 25 from long distance outside of Jordan Poole? 1 of 25. That's good for a solid 4% from 3. People that stood out to me for Washington were Jonas Valanciunas, who had 18 points, 5 rebounds, few assists. He was very efficient from the field. He came off the bench and provided some strong scoring, and the other guy was Bilal Coulibaly. While he only had 8, 6, and 6, he looked a lot more polished out there, and the one thing that really impressed me was his passing. He looks so much better than it did last year, and he was making some great passes against the Celtics defense, which is encouraging. Debut was one to forget. He has just 2 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Rough 1 of 7 night from the field and wasn't able to hit any of his 5 3-point attempts. But I did like what I saw from him on the defensive side of the ball. Had a few really good blocks, was nice in isolation, especially against guards, but he still needs to work on that offensive game. It was a night to forget for Washington. They first quarter and a half, I was impressed. They were able to keep up with that Boston team, but once Boston started hitting their shots and Washington continued to just chuck up brick after brick after brick from 3, it was all over for them. Start off 3-0 with a win in Detroit on Saturday night, while Washington will have another home game where they will take on Cleveland Saturday night. We got the Mavs winning 120 to 109 against the Spurs. First half was more of a back and forth defensive battle. We saw no team really gain a cushion in this one. I think that the biggest lead that either the Spurs or the Mavs had in the first half was 6 or 7 or something like that. Neither team was either really to jump out in front in the first half, and I think it was because both teams' star players started off so cold. Wembanyama, not a good first half at all for him. Luka Doncic, not that good of a first half for him. I think Luka goes 4 of 14 from the field. But in that second half, it completely changes as Luka's starting to get that shot down, and it leaves guys like Klay Thompson open more. And once the star player gets rolling and defenses have to get all of their attention on him, it completely opens up the offense, and that is exactly what happened for the Mavericks. Once Luka hit his shots, the floodgates completely opened for them. It seemed like everybody was starting to hit shots. I think Dallas scored 40 points in the third quarter. They pulled away even more, and thanks to their three-point shooting and offensive second half, they were able to get the win. The big reasons that Dallas was able to get back in this game is their second chances. Not only did they force a bunch of San Antonio turnovers, they had a great night on the defensive side of the ball and forced the Spurs to a very sloppy game. They were getting a bunch of rebounds on the offensive glass as well. So the Mavericks took 102 shots. The Spurs, as I'm looking at it, took 86 shots. That's a 16-shot difference right there. So even though the Mavs had a really bad night in the interior from two, I believe they made just 23 shots from two and made 19 shots from long distance. They had a really strong night from three, despite their bad night from two. Slow start, Luka Doncic led Dallas in scoring. He had 28 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. You look at it, AC went 9 of 25. You're going to think inefficient night, and I understand, but he was great in the second half. He just started off really cold when, like I said, 4 of 14 in that first half. Went 5 of 11 and made 4 of his 5 threes in the second half and completely opened the Mavericks offense. Guys I was impressed with for Dallas, of course, Klay Thompson, great Mavericks debut, 22 points, 7 rebounds, was 6 of 10 from 3, and he got a lot of open looks too. I mean, when you have guys like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, even though Kyrie didn't have a very good night, he was really inefficient from the field, they're able to create so much space and able to make these guys get so open. They create so much gravity when they're out there on the court, and it's going to leave Klay open this year. He's going to get so many open looks, and I know he was able to get a bunch of open looks because of Steph's gravity as well last year, but with both Luka and Kyrie, Klay is going to get some of the best opportunities he's gotten in his entire career. And another guy that played really well, Derek Lively. He did a great job on Wemby all night long, was efficient as well. 15 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, strong defense, did whatever Jason Kidd asked of him. Started off slow, but then finished strong was PJ Washington. He was inefficient in the first half, but like most of Dallas's team, really picked it up as the game progressed. Jaden Hardy was also in double figures. Daniel Gafford had 9 points and 6 rebounds, and Dallas all around played a very strong second half and a really good defensive game. I also, like I said earlier, loved the way that they fought for those second chances, and if they play like that, they're going to be a real tough team to beat in the West. Not have a single player score 20 points tonight, and it was also a night to forget for Victor Wembanyama. He had 17 points, 9 rebounds, shot a really rough 5 of 18 from the field, and he was 1 of 8 from 3. And that's the one thing, his shot selection was really interesting. He was staying out on the perimeter a lot more instead of driving into the lane. And I'm not overreacting, it's one game, but it's going to be something that I'm going to watch this year. I'm really interested in Wemby's shot selection. Will he continue to stay out to this perimeter, try and develop more as a Kevin Durant archetype, or will he try and drive into the lane more? Penny was tied for the Spurs leading scorer. He had 18 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, was 7 of 12 from the field, and one of the only good three-point shooters for the Spurs. He was 4 of 8 from long distance. Jeremy Sohan, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, shot above 50%. was a pretty solid game for him. And Harrison Barnes had a really strong first quarter. He came out firing. He had 12 in the first frame, but he only had 5 points in the final 3 quarters. But good to see him hit a few corner threes. He seems to be a guy that could bring a nice veteran presence for the Spurs this year. IQ, his passing, it's still there. We saw it. He had 8 assists last night. You could tell that he still has some phenomenal court vision. It's just that jumper isn't what it once was. But I don't really think that San Antonio needs him to be a shooter this year. They just need him to be really strong next to Wemby. And, give credit to Dallas. They had a great defensive game plan for Wemby. They did a great job on him all night long. And also, before I wrap it up, congrats to Stephon Castle, first career NBA points, and I liked what I saw from him in the fourth quarter as well. We'll play again Saturday with San Antonio taking on Houston and Dallas going into Phoenix to play the Suns. The Wolves won a thriller against the Kings, winning 117-115 in DeMar DeRozan's Kings debut. 2.5 quarters of this game, it was in control for Sacramento. I don't think they really ever lost the lead. I think they had a lead a good 95% of that portion of the game from the beginning of the first quarter to about midway near the end of the third quarter. They were in complete control. They were playing well. They were playing with strong chemistry. Sabonis, Fox, Monk, DeRozan, all these guys, Keegan Murray as well, they all seem to be fitting and gelling together well, but the momentum completely shifted about midway through the third quarter. The Wolves went on a 13-2 run and made this a game again. At points, it looked like either team was going to win. Minnesota had its strong moments. The Kings had their strong moments, but in a tie game with 2 minutes left, game was completely close. The Kings take a 2-point lead, and then Malik Monk goes into the lane, hits an and one, gives the Kings the lead. Then Rudy Gobert gets fouled, makes the first, misses the second. Kings go down court. De'Aaron Fox has a 2 to take the lead, isn't able to hit. The Wolves call timeout, draw a play up, and Anthony Edwards does a great job at, instead of settling for the shot, he goes into the lane, knows he's going to get hacked because he has a step, takes the hit, hits both free throws. The Kings, Keegan Murray puts up and desperately he gets the guy in the air on the pump fake. Ant comes over to help, and Keegan does this jump fake, then heave in the air to win the game, and it was that close. It almost went in. I jumped out of my seat. I couldn't believe it. It was that close to going in, but rolled in and out. Rough loss for Sacramento to start the year. Nice win for the Wolves, who needed it after their game against the Lakers. To give Julius Randle his flowers. He was terrific last night. 33 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and insanely efficient. 13 of 17 from the field, and he made 5 of his 6 3-point attempts. Was great at the beginning, was great at the end. Just an all-around fantastic game for him. Was much better in the second half than he was in the first half. He was kind of quiet in that first half, but then had 23 of his 32 points in the second half. Finished the night with 32, 7, and 4. Of course, hit the game-winning free throws, was strong down the stretch. Really good game for Ant. Love how he played at the end. Also had a solid night. 19 points, 13 rebounds, had a few assists, 6 of 10 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3. It's insane how much better Minnesota's spacing is when he is on the court and when he is hitting those shots. Best game for Rudy Gobert. He had just 3 points on 2 shots, 11 rebounds. Didn't play as good of defense on Sabonis as I would have liked him to, but it wasn't his worst night by any stretch of the imagination. He was once again, just like the Lakers game, okay. I think he was a little better against the Lakers, but he hasn't really had an elite Rudy Gobert game just yet. Alexander Walker and Dante DiVincenzo both had 9 points, but Nickeil Alexander-Walker looked a lot better. He had 9 points on just 3 of 5 shooting, while Dante DiVincenzo, another inefficient night for him. He had 9 points on just 4 of 10 shooting, was 1 of 6 from 3. That shot has not been falling in the first few games, but once it starts to get down, man, is Minnesota's bench going to be unbelievably good. Wilson led the Kings in scoring in his first game in Sacramento. He had 26 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. It was an inefficient night for him, though. He was just 7 of 18 from the field, but he got to the line effortlessly. He took 14 free throws on the night, made 12 of them, was really good at attacking, getting to the line, just wasn't able to hit his shots as much as he would have liked to. He had a really good night. He had 23 points, 11 rebounds, was 5 of 10 from 3, and he was stepping up big when the Kings needed him to. Jonas had 24 points, 8 rebounds, had an efficient 8 of 13 night, and another thing that was really encouraging for him was he was 3 of 4 from long distance. However, De'Aaron Fox, he has 15 points, 2 rebounds, 11 assists. He actually started this game off great. He was 9 points for 4 of 4 shooting in the first quarter. However, he had just 6 points the rest of the way, and he was inefficient down the stretch. Just a rare bad fourth quarter for him. We usually think of De'Aaron Fox as one of the best fourth quarter players in the entire league. It was just an off night for him in the first game of the season. One more encouraging thing for Sacramento was Malik Monk. He's going to be a 6th Man of the Year candidate this year. He's probably going to be the favorite in most people's eyes, and he showed why last night. 17 points, 1 rebound, 4 assists, an efficient 6 of 9 night from the field, but all those things just were not enough to beat Minnesota. Teams will play again Saturday, with Minnesota getting their home opener against the Raptors and Sacramento going on the road to take on the Lakers. The Oklahoma City Thunder were able to handily beat the Denver Nuggets, winning 102-87. You heard me right. The Denver Nuggets scored just 87 points last night. And not only that, they scored just 36 second half points. It was a brutal night for them on the offensive end, but give credit to Oklahoma City's defense as well. Jumped out quickly in this one. They actually went on a 13-3 run near the beginning of the game to get a lead as big as 9, but the Thunder ended the first quarter off really strong, 21-5 run to end the first quarter. They took the lead heading into the second, and they never relinquished it. Oklahoma City wasn't even that great on the offensive side of the ball last night. In fact, I don't even think they had that good of an offensive night. It was just the fact that their defense was so terrific, and it was able to keep them in front the rest of the way. It wasn't really the offense that blew the game out of proportion. It was really their defense was so terrific that Denver wasn't able to do anything. Aaron was terrific last night for the Thunder. 25 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 stocks, which is steals and blocks combined for those who do not know, 11 of 18 from the field. He was 11 of 13 from 2. He just wasn't able to hit any of his 5 threes. Even though that shot was not falling, he was wonderful. He outplayed Jokic, and that is a really tough feat to do. He did a wonderful job last night, and he deserves all of the praise that he is getting right now. People that stood out to me when watching this game, of course, the first person, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 28 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 stocks, shot just under 50%, along with Chet, had a terrific third quarter. And another guy that played really well was Aaron Wiggins, who came off the bench, scored, I believe, 15 points, was 7 of 9 shooting, had a really, really big effort, and those are really the only 3 guys that shot efficiently for the Thunder. Wasn't the best night for J-Dub, Alex Caruso. He was playing great defense, but his offense wasn't there. Lou Dort wasn't hitting his shots. Isaiah Joe wasn't really hitting his shots. So even though the Thunder take 101 shots, go 42.6% from the field, just 22.2% from 3, their elite defense and their superior bench play is what gave them the win. Which led the charge for Denver, 16 points, 12 rebounds, 13 assists, but he was just 2 of 8 in the second half, and that was because Denver shot just 7 of 38 from 3, and it gave the Nuggets more of an opportunity to attack and double Jokic because when Nikola was kicking out, the shots weren't falling, and the Thunder knew if they were able to stop Jokic, they were going to win this game, and that is exactly what happened. Allen actually had a solid night, and he was the only Nugget with a positive plus minus. He finished with 16 and 7. He was 8 of 15 from the field, but he did miss all 3 of his threes. And Michael Porter Jr. also had nights to forget. They shot a combined 9 of 30 from the field, but the one thing that people had been worried about heading into the season, all off season for Nuggets fans, was their bench. Losing KCP, losing Bruce Brown a few years ago. Will these young guys be able to develop, and will their bench be able to still be okay? And they proved the haters 100% right last night. Their bench was a flat-out train wreck. Scoring. The offense went completely stagnant and flat, and it was also some of the worst defense that they had played all night long. So it's going to be a really, really interesting thing to watch this year. Remember, it's only one game. Let's not go completely crazy over it, but if it looks like that every single night, I really don't know what the Nuggets are going to be able to do, because when you're that bad without 1 to 2 guys, I mean, what happens if you miss them? What happens if Jokic has to miss a game? What happens if, Murray or somebody has to miss time? How are you going to be able to recuperate that? And this is something that's going to be really problematic for Denver all season long if guys like Peyton Watson and Julian Strawther and even Russ don't figure it out quickly. Play again Sunday against Atlanta, while the Nuggets play again Saturday against the Clippers. That's the 4-game slate from the association yesterday. You watched through the end. I really appreciate it. Thank you. You guys have a great rest of your day. God bless, and I will be back with the 10-game slate for tonight's NBA games. We got 10 games each of the next 2 days, so it should be fun.